teaching, marriage, life stuff in general. When a coworker and a confidant that I love suggested I join a bipolar parent support group. I remember I smiled politely and immediately started to panic, dipping into my endless pocket of silent excuses. Oh, I'm beyond that. Mothering keeps me grounded. I can't possibly admit I struggle with this, too. And my marriage? Can't I have some secrets? What does all of this have to do with being bipolar? I'm stable now, right? It was actually straight up fear that was limiting me once again. And I was sinking. I was in my head, not seeking the lifeboat residing in my heart. And as life would have it, a great article, Compliments of Psychology Today, and someone else, magically appeared a day later in my mailbox with a big red heart on it with the words, "Keep fucking going," written in beautiful penmanship. The article was entitled Role of a Support Group in Treatment of Bipolar Disorder by a Russ Fetterman. The article reads, the first posting of this blog on the 1st of February 2010 addressed the importance of a support group in the treatment of individuals with bipolar disorder. I'm now returning to the topic as I think it's important. I'm now returning to the topic as I think it's important. Oh, forgive all the kookiness, guys. I'm just learning this whole system. I'm now returning to the topic as I think it's important. And it doesn't receive enough attention. I've also found, through my years of working with individuals diagnosed with bipolar disorder, that the combination of a support group and individual therapy is an ideal combination of treatment modalities. I'd like to explain why. So Fetterman continues, most with bipolar disorder experience some degree of stigma due to societal misunderstanding of the disorder. People with bipolar disorder are often perceived as crazy, moody, unstable. The picture of the disorder conveyed through the media is often one that, well, it highlights the more extreme or acute aspects of mood instability. We don't often hear media stories about people with bipolar illness who are productive and doing relatively well. Beyond these issues of stigma, people with bipolar disorder find that others simply don't understand what they're going through. They might say, "Oh, I understand how you feel," or "Oh, I know what you're going through." But the truth is that unless they themselves have bipolar disorder or have had a close connection with someone who does, they often don't know what the bipolar individual is experiencing. And not many do. Fetterman continues, the support group environment is one of the few settings where people living with the illness can truly feel understood and accepted. There's no need to make excuses or to apologize. They don't need to dance around the reality of what's going on. Someone can come to the group one night and say, "So, about a week ago, the bottom suddenly dropped out, and I've been feeling like crap ever since." And the other members absolutely know what is being conveyed. Fetterman continues, a group member can express that she hates to take her medication and is frustrated with her husband's recurrent response of, "It's important to your stability and you should really stick with it." In group, she receives agreement from a member who says, "Yeah, I hate my meds too." Another member chimes in, "I wish I could stop all my meds and just let my mind do what it wants to do." Fetterman continues, the need to hide part of one's identity that's socially unacceptable is absolutely not present in group. In fact, rather than feeling like the outsider who doesn't belong, group members get to feel like they really do belong. It's the neurotypicals, the people without psychiatric diagnosis that have No place in the group. And the good news here is that the feeling of acceptance and belonging can have a long half-life. It can carry over into the real world and soften the extent to which the individual feels marginalized. End quote. And that is the quote from Psychology Today. That is the quote I found in my mailbox with a big red heart around it. Thank you, Psychology Today. Thank you, Mr. Russ Fetterman. And this is exactly what I did. I joined a support group. I went to a therapist. I talked with Dr. Friedman. I wrote about my endeavors. I started a blog talk radio show entitled Paging Dr. Friedman, Life Advice to Help You Cope, as another cathartic outlet and a way to help listeners. All of the things that I was formerly petrified of became part of my lifeboat, the one that keeps me afloat in the ever-changing sea. I overcame my fear by voicing my experience with mental illness and by opening a dialogue with empathetic strangers. So in summary, in order to explore and understand your illness, you must open a dialogue with someone or a group of people who can empathize outside of your inner circle. Their opinions will be more honest because you are all in the same boat. You can open up. Give your experience with mental illness a voice and open a dialogue with those who get it. It's true. So true. You know, I'd like to reiterate that honesty and transparency is so important here, guys, because it's something you need to practice every day. It takes constant self-awareness. And when honesty meets with your willingness to change, the results really are remarkable. And when you open a dialogue and you're honest, it allows you to explore your illness transparently. And by seeking support outside of your immediate circle, you will have a different perspective on your situation. You can do this. You really can. I know you can. Now, the next step that we'll talk about during the next show explores the heart space, a sacred place, in my humble opinion. You will understand that moving into your heart space and out of your cluttered mind will change your perspective. It really will. It'll help you to integrate new ideas and suggestions into your own methodology and healing. It really will. I hope you tune in for that one too. It's going to be groovy. So look forward to L, which is to look to your heart, not your cluttered mind. So hard to do. We need to be reminded of this. Our minds are full of so much gobbledygook. It's constant. I can't find my way through it, and I know that you struggle with the same thing. We all do. What is the deal? It's a really funny one. I like that sound effect. So, we will talk about that at length next time. But today, I wanted to share with you all a most excellent article that I read today from the Epoch Times. I don't know if you're familiar with the Epoch Times. It's a New York, D.C. newspaper, publication. I think it started in New York City, but the Epoch Times touts truth and tradition. It's a newspaper that, and I have not read enough of it to say, yeah, this is the case yet. But I do enjoy, some of the writers are exceptional. And I love journalism. And what the Epoch Times touts is that they are really the real deal. and that there's no quote-unquote fake news, no yellow journalism, that this is just facts, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts for the public to take, roll with, recycle over and over in their brain, and use to do their own research. And this is a front page article called Pandemic. Shutdown spur mental health crisis in U.S., experts say. This is written by Bowen Zhao, who I've read some other articles by this journalist. Really well done. The subtitle, Nation's Mental Health Taking a Hit Amid Pandemic, with an increasing number of Americans experiencing anxiety and depression. Zhao says, a basket of worries spurred by anxieties related to job security, financial instability, grief from death, or loneliness are plaguing an increasing number of Americans living amid this COVID-19 pandemic and its shutdown measures. Among 5,412 Americans surveyed at the end of June, 41% reported at least one adverse mental or behavioral health condition, according to an August 14th morbidity and mortality report by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, that is. The number is higher among younger adults between the ages of 18 and 24, with 75% of respondents reporting experiencing at least one condition. These are big numbers. Dr. Carla Marie Manley, a clinical psychologist who specializes in stress and anxiety, has noticed, quote, a huge surge in depression, suicide, or suicidal tendencies and anxiety during the pandemic, end quote. She told the Epoch Times that she has participated in a number of programs to help those affected, including virtual group sessions, free mental health videos, and individual therapy work. Just over 10% of adults reported seriously considering suicide in the previous 30 days before June. The CDC said approximately twice the number reported in 2018. Yikes. The U.S. death toll from COVID-19 stands at 176,223, according to August 24th data from the CDC, and at least 5.68 million cases. A growing number of tragedies, coupled with the uncertainty of what they refer to as the CCP virus. CCP is an abbreviation for Chinese Communist Party virus, is spurring a similar mindset to a restless period that occurred after 9/11, according to, go to A4, Carol Lieberman, a doctor, psychiatrist, and author. She also warned about the negative effects of a fear-mongering media. Quote, we've heard about the horrible lonely deaths that patients with COVID suffer because they're in quarantine, unquote, Lieberman told the Epoch Times. Forced isolation through stay-at-home mandates can cause many physical and psychological problems, including anxiety, depression, and suicidal tendencies. Unquote. Lockdown restrictions and the pandemic itself are taking a severe mental toll on many. Something that needs to be addressed and prepared for, mental health experts say. It should absolutely be treated as a national health crisis, according to Nicole Avina, assistant professor of neuroscience at Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York City, and a visiting professor of health psychology at Princeton University. While some are handling the pressures well and making the best of the time to be with their families, many have turned to unhealthy coping methods such as alcohol or overeating, she said. Other factors such as children not being able to attend school. Yikes. Could also be affecting well-being. People are worried about a possible second wave of the virus, but I can guarantee